Are you an employer in the UK? Do you know if you are conducting your right to work checks correctly? Well, we have got some crucial information that you cannot afford to miss. In this video, we'll be diving deep into the world of right to work checks and providing you with essential guidance to ensure compliance with the law. Now, before we get into it, what happens if you fail to comply with your right to work check duty as an employer? Non-compliance with right to work check duty can lead to serious consequences that can cripple your business. You could face a civil penalty of up to 20,000 per breach for illegal working. Criminal prosecution, enforce that action, and county court judgments are also possible. If you are having a sponsor license, then your sponsor license could be suspended or even revoked, limiting your ability to hire skilled workers. The adverse effects don't stop there. Non-compliance may hamper your ability to obtain future credit, lead to disqualification of company directors, and even land you on the Home Office's civil penalty offender list. Now you have understood the importance of having the correct right to work check in place for your business. Let's go through the most important point, and that is to remember, as an employer, you must carry the right to work checks on your employees before they start working for you. Now, before is the keyword. Let's start by understanding the three main types of right to work checks. This includes number one, manual, then digital and online right to work checks. Each has its own benefits and requirement. We shall cover all these three types of right to work checks in this video one at a time. So let's deep dive into the first manual right to work checks, which involves a face-to-face verification of physical documents. It's a traditional method and still applicable in certain situations, such as for the employees who is holding British or Irish citizenship. Now, in manual right to work check, there are three steps involved. Number one step is to obtain the original document. To conduct a manual check, you must obtain the original document from the employee, and it's crucial to check the documents in the employee's presence to ensure the authenticity. Remember, if an online check is not possible, manual checks are your go-to method. After having and obtaining the original document, the step two is check. Once you have this document, you check the authenticity of the original document thoroughly. While you don't need to be an expert in identifying fraudulent documents, you must be vigilant. Verify that the photographs on the documents match the person in front of you. Fill the documents to familiarize yourself with how authentic ones look and feel. Ensure all the pages of the passport are present and check the holograms under the proper lighting. After this, step number three, copy. So record keeping is vital for right to work compliance. You must make sure and retain legible copies of the provided documents and record the date of the check. Keep copies of the entire document except for passports, where you should copy any page with the expiry date and the applicant's details. Retain these copies for the duration of the individual's employment and an additional 2 years after they leave. Also remember, when copying and retaining documentation, you are compliant with the data protection law, that means GDPR. Now, to summarize, manual right to work check, it's OCC: obtain, check and copy. Obtain the original document, you check the original document, and you copy, that means retain the copy of the original. Now let's deep dive into the second type of right to work checks, which is digital right to work checks. Within this second type, there is a step one is for digital right to work check is check. As an employer, you can utilize identity document validation technology, also known as IDVT. A quick Google search can give you more information on IDVT, and you can then conduct digital identity checks on individuals remotely. With digital checks, there is no need for physical right to work document or face-to-face meetings. The IDVT technology allows employers to verify an individual's right to work remotely, making the process much more faster and more efficient. It's important to stay up to date with the latest requirements of IDVT by visiting the UK government website. Now, after completing the step 1, which is check, let's move to the step 2, which is copy. Employers must retain copies of the IDVT checks output, obviously. Recording and retaining copies of IDVT check output is crucial for compliance. It is also essential to keep these records throughout the individual's employment and for 2 more years after their employment has been terminated. Remember, these records must be stored securely in a format that cannot be edited or altered, such as like PDFs or photocopies in JPEG format. Although the digital checks offer convenience, employers must remember that they cannot make them mandatory for individuals if it's not applicable to them. It's important to treat individuals without passports or those who prefer manual checks with fairness and inclusivity. Employers should provide the option for individuals to prove their right to work through a manual document check if applicable. Now let's uncover the third one, online right to work checks. For the third type of right to work check, this first step is again in this category is check. When is this applicable? That's probably a key question you might have. If an individual possesses a biometric residence permit, biometric residence card, pre-settled status or settled status under the EU settlement scheme, then the online checking service is the way to go. To initiate an online check, the individual must grant permission to the employer and obtain a unique 9-character long share code. Once the share code is obtained, the employer can then enter the individual's details on the Home Office online system to conduct the right to work check. Remember, the share code starting with the letter W are acceptable for eligibility checks. Share codes starting with S and R should not be used. This online right to work checks is now extended to e-visa holders as well. Moving on to step 2 of this category is copy. Once the online check is completed, it's crucial for employers to retain the necessary document. Employers should keep a copy of the profile page that verifies the individual's eligibility to work. This copy should be retained electronically or in hard copy for the duration of the individual's employment, and again 2 years after their employment ends. Recording and retaining these documents ensures compliance and provides a clear record of the individual's right to work status. In some circumstances, the individuals are unable to use online checks or provide acceptable documentation for manual checks. That's where the employer checking service, also known as ECS, may be helpful. The ECS, a free online service provided by the Home Office, allows employer to fulfill the duty of conducting right to work checks in such situations. If an individual is awaiting a decision on a pending application or a review or appeal, or if they arrived in the UK before 1989 without official document to prove their status, the employer checking service becomes very helpful. Employer should utilize the ECS, employer checking service, if an applicant has an application registration card or digital or non-digital certificate application that requires verification by the Home Office. In cases where online checks using a share code or verification of original documents are not possible, the employer checking service may be the solution. By assessing the ECS, the employers can request the Home Office to verify an individual's immigration status and ensure compliance with the right to work requirements. As of 1st July 2021, all new EU, EEA or Swiss employees must demonstrate that they possess valid pre-settled status, settled status or a valid visa as a proof of their right to work. For existing EU employees who underwent compliance checks before 30th June 2021, retrospective right to work checks are not necessary. The Home Office has also provided guidance to protect the UK residents and working rights of those awaiting a decision on their EU settlement scheme application. EU settlement scheme applicants can rely on a certificate of application issued on or after 1st July 2021 along with a positive verification notice obtained through the Employer Checking Service, i.e. ECS. But what about EU workers hired after 1st July 2021? Employers must conduct the appropriate document checks for EEA nationals employed after this date. If a time limit is indicated on the EU employee's right to work, a follow-up check should be performed before the expiry date. Now, what should be the timing of right to work checks? Whilst right to work check must be carried out before the employee commences work, it's usually best to conduct this as late in the recruitment process as possible to avoid job applicants arguing that any recruitment decisions have been made or were based on their nationality or their immigration status. We understand that navigating the complexities of the prevention of illegal working regime can be challenging, and that's why we are here to provide guidance and support every step of the way. Don't take chances with your business's future. Reach out to us by clicking the link in the first pinned comment or in the description section below for any question or concern you may have about right to work checks and avoid Home Office penalties. With 14 plus years experience and being a legal 500 multi-award winning immigration law firm, we provide training for your human resources department and management team, giving you the guidelines, tools and understanding required for meeting your statutory duty to maintain and carry out right to work checks for your employees. We also assist in establishing compliance with your sponsorship duties if you have a sponsor license or applying for sponsor license. We hope you found this information helpful. If you have any further question or topics you would like us to cover in future videos, please let us know in the comment section below now. And please don't forget to like the video and subscribe to my channel for the useful content. Thank you for watching.